Welcome to day 2 of Manmanabhav Madhyaji Bhav. So we are very lucky today. I'm sure you've all experienced this. Whenever you're about to go somewhere to a new destination, you always look out for people who've been there, yes? And you try and get as many tips as possible. So in this, reaching this destination of Manmanabhav Madhyaji Bhav, we have the fortune of having 2 Madhuban residents join us today and share their tips and techniques of how they reach that destination. And in particular, the topic for today is the first step, in the process of Manmanabhav, clearing the Chit and maintaining the connection. Yeah. So Baba's, sung a lot of praise of Madhuban residents. Madhuban being the forest of honey, Baba said the Madhuban residents are ocean of sweetness and also disinterest. It's their disinterest that also serves the world far and wide. Yeah. And another thing that I really, was really inspired by about the titles Baba's given the Madhuban residents, they are like master teachers, and every word they speak is like pearls. So get ready to, take on more gems of knowledge. So who do we have with us today? On my left is Brother Geoff. I'll get them to share about their journey, but in terms of, I guess, the role he plays in the Madhuban world is he, does a lot of Baba's animation that you would have seen in big shapes and small shapes and, various videos and presentation. And then we have our dear brother Satyanarayan Bhai. Satyanarayan Bhai, do you know what he does? Anyone here knows what he does? Toli, yes, he serves us with the power of food and the sweetness of Toli. So first of all, I think, before we get into the topic, it's always very nice to hear about their journey, how they came to Baba and how their journey led them to this great place, Madhuban. See if I can ask Satyanarayan Bhai to share.
Om Shanti. I made first meeting with Baba 1986. And I got knowledge from my Lokik father, and he got knowledge from Calcutta, India. He was in Calcutta for Lokik job.
Are we okay with the translation?
So, there was in Calcutta, there is a big exhibition in 1966. In Park, Bada Bazaar, Calcutta. So my father was looking about God. Sometime he was going to Shamshan,
Cremation grounds.
yes, and sometime any sannyasis, or he was looking about who is God, where I will get, where I can meet God. So this type of sanskars. So he went to Calcutta for Lokik job, and he was reading Gita every day. So that day he got knowledge. He was reading Gita in house. So his one friend came to there, and he told him, "What are you doing this time, morning time?" So my father told, "I'm reading Gita." So he told, "This Gita is not real Gita. Lie Gita you're reading."
Wow, straight away.
So so he told, "You come with me, and where is God of Gita, and he giving knowledge directly now, so you come with me." So they went to that exhibition, and he saw that exhibition, and he got knowledge, Atma, Paramatma, or everything in exhibition, and they went to center. So Dadi Nirmal Shanta, Baba's daughter, she was there, that center, and they got knowledge from there. So they started this, and every day he was going to class. So we got knowledge from Lokik Father, 1984, and 1986 first time all family we got knowledge. In our Lokik family we are 6 brothers, all Kumars and all Babas, and one Kumari, she is staying center, Jaipur. So 7 Kumaris, all Babas. Same time we came, Baba's knowledge we got, and when we came meet Baba first time, Madhuban Om Shanti Bhavan, then it was 3 a.m. Baba came 7 o'clock, and next day 9 o'clock. It was Guruvar, day of Sat Guruvar. So many of us. So 3 o'clock our turn, Rajasthan. So we met Baba, and Baba's meeting single person, they going to stage, and Baba giving drishti and Toli and blessing. So I got blessing from Baba, सदा तीव्र गति से पुरुषार्थ का फल अनुभव करते आगे बढ़ते चलो. Sister will translate.
Okay. Keep on experiencing the fruits of the intense efforts that you make.
So first chance of my mother and father, Lokik, so they went to in front of Baba, and Baba gave drishti and asked them, Baba, who is going fast? You both mother or father, so who is going fast? So Baba was talking everybody and giving blessing. So we all got knowledge from, we met Baba first time there. And my father, he came to Baba, he met Sakar Baba, he came here Madhuban 1966, or he was 2 months of child in Baba's knowledge. So first time he came here, and he was having three desires. Baba playing with, because he listened from other students, Baba playing with this new child, or ring ceremony and julas, swing,
Sitting with Baba in the
sang,
swing.
yes, and badminton. So he came to here, and Baba
So
was
those were his desires, to do that with Baba.
yes. So he was looking. Oh, if there is God really, then my desire will fulfill. Yes. So first day he came and Baba met them. So one day morning time, Baba told, "Oh child, you come, new child from Calcutta. He is very good bacha, very good child. So you come play with Baba." So Baba played badminton, and he was young, so he looking, oh, I will winner, I will win, in badminton. So every time they defeat, yes. So Baba was asking them, who is winner?
Yeah.
Yes. So they're telling Bab Dada. So sweet children, now you playing with Bab Dada. So you will play in golden age with whom? Sri Krishna. So Baba was giving knowledge also and playing. So, and next day there was near Toli department, Panda Bhavan, there was one Jula,
Swing.
swing. So Baba was coming from there. He told, "Oh, you come, child, sit with Baba and swing Jula."
Okay.
So they 2-3 desires they fulfill, and next day it was number of for ring ceremony. So my father, there was 3 person they came. 2 was businessman and 1 was Lokik father. So he was doing job and they are businessmen. So they met Baba. So Baba giving some of silver ring, golden ring. So he thought, oh, I am Baba's poor child, so I will get.
So Satyanarayan Bhai.
So
And
this
everyone.
story is many.
Very nice story. But we have to take a slight pause on your story,
Yeah.
because our dear Dadi has arrived earlier than we had expected. So Dadi is here.
That's good.
So we'll take a pause and we'll start after Dadi leaves.
Very good.
Okay. Huh? More on the topic, yes. But how many of you know Geoff? You do? Okay, so that's why you want to get on the topic. 2 people do. So we won't mind, Geoff, if you want to just share in brief about, how you came to Baba and your journey to Madhuban.
So I came to Baba in 1985, thanks to my mother. There was a New Age exhibition in King's Cross, Sydney, and she picked up a whole lot of pamphlets, including a Raj Yoga pamphlet. And so I was also she was looking for some meditation, so I was also looking for some meditation. And so she handed me a whole bunch of pamphlets, and one of them was, of course, Baba's Raj Yoga pamphlet. And I found out that the centre was actually only 5 minutes from my flat, 5-minute walk. So that was the Bondi Centre in Sydney. And so I rang up and booked in to do the course. And then when I showed up on the doorstep, the sister opened the door and said, "Welcome back." So I sort of like thought she was a bit strange because I'd never been there before. But anyway, after the first lesson, I was hooked. Because after the first lesson, when the sister was giving drishti, I had a vision of soul world. It had the whole room went red, and this sister's eyes were like tunnels that went on forever, you know. So after that lesson, subconsciously Baba had got me, but consciously it took till the cycle. Once the cycle was explained, I was hooked. So I started coming to Murli straight after I finished the course, and I haven't stopped since then.
And do you reckon the visions played a part in you now doing all the animations for Baba?
I think that first one was to a little bit extra input from Baba to tweak a few sanskaras that were a little bit difficult, because I was sort of like still a little bit smoking. And after that first lesson, I just stopped. That was it, turned off, never thought about it again.
Wow.
So Baba just went, you know.
Instant transformation.
Well, it's a habit, you know. Habits are sanskaras, and Baba can tweak sanskaras, and I've had it done before when I was in Delhi working at the studio there. It was I've had that same experience, but that was like 20 years later. So I first met Baba in 1986. Then same year as Satyanarayan. So it was a very auspicious year. And we had a personal meeting with Baba's, which was very, very nice. So Baba talked about happiness, and happy to be at the Confluence Age, and happy to be with Baba, and I'm happy to be here. So
excellent. And how many years now in Madhuban?
I first started coming to Madhuban long term in 1999.
Wow.
I stayed for 3 months to help David with the big printer, the first big printer that we ever bought. But before that, I was coming to the art department when another brother was in charge, and I was teaching them Photoshop, Photoshop 3 and version 4, so very old days. So then after that, I stayed in the art, when David took over the art department, I stayed there for about 9 months, and then I switched departments to Prashant Bhai up in training centre. We were in a little office above the hall here, and we were making a DVD called Discover the Spirit Within, which was a big project at that time, and I was doing all the animations for that. And so that took 6 months, and then that became a big hit, actually. And it won an award in Mumbai for its animations, which was really good. And that put it on the map, sort of thing. And that was a new way of doing service, and from then on, multimedia sort of started taking off.
18 years, 1991 to now, 2019.
2001, yeah.
Wow.
No, 2000. We did Discover the Spirit Within in 2000. Yeah, the year 2000.
Amazing.
So, yeah. And so every
Very
year
cool.
I come back, and for the last 6 years I've been in Godlywood Studio every year, working in the animation department, doing different projects for different parts of the world, really.
Wonderful. Very nice to have you with us. So Satyanarayan Bhai, we'll come to your story at the end, because there is a request to talk about the topic. So we'll start with the first question. The first question is, Baba often speaks about past is past, but we keep holding on to things of the past. So can you share a little on this? So, you know, how we can, let go of the past and really coming back to the theme is clearing the Chit.
We have 63 births of sanskars last. So that sanskars sometime, fighting Maya. So Baba is now making us self-sovereign, Swarajya Adhikari, and so Adha Kalp, half cycle, we were in Maya's connection. So now, अभी माया पर जीत पा रहे हैं. Now we are becoming victorious of Maya. So, if we are connected with Baba always, many relations of Baba, Mat Pita, Sadguru, teacher, friend, so we have to connect with Baba every time. So if we cleaning Chit, intellect, so time of Amrit Vela, that is very good time, powerful time for especially we Brahman souls, because after there is line of Bhagats, yes? So, if there is Amrit Vela is powerful, then whole day will be powerful. There is no Maya. Otherwise, past sanskars, they coming.
So what do you actually do in the? Are there any specific things you would suggest we do for Amrit Vela meditation to clear the Chit?
Yes. Dadi was telling us now 8 powers and values, 5 gun values. So, if we have Shakti, power, so Amrit Vela, we are taking power from Baba, yoga power. So our intellect will ekagra chit,
Concentrated, yeah.
concentrate, yes, to Baba. And my personally experience, I am taking powers from Baba and giving others souls. And many type of swaman, self-respect, so practice
The
in
titles
yoga.
of self-respect.
Yes. So if we are busy in these things, then nothing will come. Old sanskars or Maya or past. This
Thank
is
you.
my experience.
I was wondering, Dadi spoke about the 8 powers and the 5 virtues. What do you think were the 5 virtues Dadi would be referring to?
Dadi is telling sometimes different things. So exactly I don't know about that, but powers she told, she
Yeah.
added one new power now.
Yeah.
So Dadi's leher is like a sagar.
Wave.
So Sagar Shiv Baba,
Sagar's
different
ocean.
things, yes, ocean of knowledge Baba. So giving different things. So there is 36
Virtues.
virtues.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. What about you, Brother Geoff? What is your secret of clearing the Chit?
Clearing the Chit. For me, over the last 33 years, it's been regular yoga. I mean, I hardly miss Amrit Vela, or try not to. Probably only when travelling, or we've been up late at night. From very early on, I heard something called Mama's Rule.
Mama's Rule.
Mama's Rule.
Wow.
This is the rule Mama had, that if she was doing service or anything, and if she was up past midnight, then she would have yoga before sleep and would not worry about Amrit Vela, because it's midnight, past midnight. So it's only like 4 hours, which is not enough time to refresh, But anything before that, then she would get up at 4 o'clock, at Amrit Vela. So I always, when I heard that, I thought that was very sensible, actually. And so I stuck to that rule. And even if I go to bed at 11:30, I'm still up at 4, just catch up later. Have an early night the next day or something, the next night or something like that. But that regularity in the morning, and also I pay great importance to evening yoga as well, because I know one Avyakt Murli many years, decades ago actually, Baba said that evening yoga is only second to Amrit Vela, because you start the day with Amrit Vela, you finish the day with evening yoga. And those two practices for me have been able to overcome many circumstances, without being affected, including some old sanskaras, which, obviously they're there and they'll keep coming up to the end. But how we're affected by them and what influence they have over us, depletes over time. The more yoga power we have, the more we accumulate.
Similar to what I probed Satyanarayan Bhai on, what is that you do in your yoga? Like, if you find your mind is being disturbed, being pulled, something's bothering you, what do you do?
Take time out and just sit. And sit and just try and get your mind in control. Many times, not now, but very early days, we've all experienced it. Someone would say something not very nice to us or something, and we'd get a little bit offended or something like that, and then we'd probably have waste thoughts for a few hours after that. Or especially if it's towards the evening, then you're not sleeping because you keep replaying the scene in your head, or what someone said. So you keep playing that in your mind. So I just, instead of going to bed, I just get up, go to another room and sit. That way, if I can even read a Murli actually, because if you can not distract the mind, but really point the mind in another direction, so that that fades into the background and something else comes to the foreground. And in this case, reading the Murli really helps, because especially if you start concentrating on what Baba's saying in the Murli, then that's replacing all the waste thoughts that you're going, and it slowly just dies, into the back of your mind. And then the next day you deal with it in a practical way.
It's a really good yukti.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, to distract the mind, because otherwise, sanskaras are there. You just keep playing it over and over and over in your head, And if you haven't got that yoga power, then it becomes really tough to try and sort of like calm it down. So distract the mind and then consciously distract it and put it in.
So thank you for that. So we got 2 really good practical jewels out of the brothers. Yeah? What's the first one? What did you notice? The first technique? Amrit Vela, yes. But what did Satyanarayan Bhai share at the technique on Amrit Vela? Self-respect, yes. Let's bring the titles of self-respect. And then Geoff shared good technique of Murlis, really. Use the Murlis to focus your mind on, and then the waste will gradually, to your words, die off, reduce its power. Yeah. Thank you for sharing 2 very practical techniques, I think. So now I want to, Satyanarayan Bhai, ask you about the, Actually, firstly, I want to ask you, is there any other techniques you have got in your bag of experience you would like to share with us on this, clearing of the past that sometimes occupies our mind? And actually, not just past, sometimes we can also be bothered by the worries of the future.
मैं हिंदी में
No
बोलता
problem, I
हूँ,
can translate.
तो आप ट्रांसलेट कीजिए। मैंने जहाँ तक अनुभव किया है कि ज्ञान के मनन चिंतन में जब हम अपने आप को बिजी रखते हैं तो कई प्रकार की बातों से मुक्त हो जाते हैं।
So when we keep our mind busy in churning knowledge, then we can become free from many things.
Because बहुत बारी छोटी छोटी बातें आती है तो हमारी दिनचर्या जो है वो मिस करने की माया की कोशिश होती है, तो अमृत पहले से लगा करके हम अपनी दिनचर्या के ऊपर पूरा अटेंशन देते हैं।
So if we keep the aim of maintaining the discipline of the daily Brahman life, then the various efforts that Maya makes to bring us down, can be reduced if the focus is on maintaining the routine, the Brahman routine.
हमने देखा दादी प्रकाशमणि जी को, हमने प्रैक्टिकल में देखा, दादी हमेशा हिस्ट्री हॉल में अमृत वेला मेडिटेशन के लिए आती थी और फिर योग कराती, योग के बाद में सभी को लाइन से दृष्टि देती। और कभी कभी दादी प्रैक्टिकली क्लास में कई बार पूछ लेती थी कि आज अमृत वेला योग किसने नहीं किया, हाथ उठाओ। और कई बार तो दादी किसी को कमरे में भेज देती थी कि जाओ देख कर के आओ कौन सोए हुए। तो इतना इम्पोर्टेंस योगा पावर इज मैन।
So Dadi Prakashmani used to give a lot of importance to Amrit Vela meditation. So brother was sharing his experience of how sometimes Dadi, after Amrit Vela, in history hall, she will sit after Amrit Vela and give drishti, line by line, and she will ask the question, who has missed Amrit Vela meditation? And sometimes would even send brothers to go and check in the rooms, who is not there for Amrit Vela. So that's how much emphasis she placed for Amrit Vela.
तो तब से लेकर हमारे दिमाग में वो बातें फिट है, तो कभी भी 365 दिन में अमृत वेला मिस नहीं करते।
So we never miss. So with that's created a lot of importance for us, and so I've never missed in 365 days a year. I never missed the Amrit Vela meditation.
जब से ज्ञान में आए तो मुरली कभी मिस नहीं किया। एवरी डे मुरली लिसनिंग, और फिर कुछ ना कुछ नोट करते हैं। सवेरे तो नोट्स लेते ही, उसके बाद में कुछ चर्निंग करते हैं। और मुझे बाबा ने कुछ लिखने का, पोएट्रीज का ऐसा वो दिया है, तो मेरा फिर चर्निंग चलता रहता है।
And then after Murali, I sit and churn, and then I've also, Baba's given me the skill to write short poetry, so then I sit and write, poetries based on
क्योंकि मन जब तक बिजी नहीं रहेगा तो फिर मन बुद्धि कहीं ना कहीं दूसरी जगह पर जाती जरूर है।
So when my mind is not busy, then my mind keeps going to different things.
और दिनचर्या से कुछ मिसिंग करते हैं तो फिर व्यर्थ थॉट चलते हैं।
And when I miss something from my routine, that's when the waste thoughts are created.
तो दादियों ने, सभी ने जो आदि रतन थे यज्ञ के, तो उन्होंने क्या किया, वो दिनचर्या को मेंटेन रखा, कभी मिस नहीं किया।
So that's what dadis and all the original jewels of the family did, is they always stuck to the routine. They never missed anything.
तो आप मुझे पूछ रहे थे, मेरे सामने कुछ ऐसे प्रैक्टिकल पेपर भी आया है। 2 बारी तो मैं शरीर छोड़ते छोड़ते वापस आ गया हूँ.
So I've had many practical test papers. Twice I was very close to leaving my body.
करीब जब मैं मधुबन में आया उसके पहले की बात है. आई एम हियर 26 ईयर. 92 से हम मधुबन में हैं. इधर 5 साल पांडव भवन में थे. उसके बाद ज्ञान सरोवर में जब से बना है तब से इधर हैं.
So I've been in Pandav Bhavan. Sorry, since when did you say?
5 years I was.
5 years in Pandav Bhavan, and then since Gyan Sarovar has been constructed, I've been in Gyan Sarovar.
तो मतलब जब से आए इधर पांडव भवन में भी कई डिपार्टमेंट्स में पहले सेवाएं की है. तो जिन्होंने आज चंद्रास दादाजी ने शरीर छोड़ा, अव्यक्त डे है उनका, तो वहाँ भी हमने करीब 2.5 महीना उस डिपार्टमेंट में.
So I've also worked with Brother Chandra's Dada, whose memorial day is today, as Didi shared in the Murli. So I've also worked with him in the construction department.
तो मेरा कहने का मतलब था, मैं ये दूसरी बात बीच में लाया, तो बाबा ने किस प्रकार से बीमारी में भी अनुभव कराया कि हम बीमार होते हुए भी कभी भी मुरली जरूर उस टाइम भी सुननी है. बाबा कहते हैं कि अगर बीमार भी है तो लेटे हुए को यहाँ ला करके बैठा दो, स्ट्रेचर पे ले आओ, लेकिन अंत मते सो गते.
So the reason I brought this point up is even when I was close to leaving my body, I would never miss a Murli, and Baba, in Murlis even emphasizes that even if you're sick, you can listen to the Murli while lying in your bed.
तो सारे खजाने मुरली के अंदर है. सभी इतने सारे प्रोग्राम्स चल रहे हैं, सब कुछ इसेंस मुरली से निकलता.
So there's all the various treasures in the Murli, like all the programs that we create today are actually from the Murlis, are based from the Murlis.
तो एकाग्र चित्त होकर मुरली सुनते हैं तो सारी चीज़ें, मुरली एक आईना है, तो सभी प्रकार का नॉलेज हमको उसमें मिलता है.
So when I listen to Murli with that much attention, with that focus and concentration, then Murli becomes like a mirror, and then I'm able to find all the solutions.
हाँ.
Then I'm able to find all the solutions.
तो हर प्रकार की गाइडेंस मुरली के द्वारा मिलती है.
And I can get all the guidance from the Murli.
फिर हर बात हमको अव्यक्त बाप दादा जब आते हैं, देखा है हम सभी ने मिले हैं बाबा से, तो अव्यक्त बाप दादा को देखो वहाँ किस प्रकार से बाबा शांत, कोई हलचल भी है तो बाबा की स्टेज.
So we've also witnessed, how Avyakt Bap Dada is like when he comes, even there could be sometimes, commotion in the hall, but you would still see that Baba is, is in his stage in that silence.
प्रैक्टिकल में बाबा को कुछ खिलाते हैं तो भी किस प्रकार से एकदम स्लोली, जैसे कि अनुभव कर रहे हैं हम कि किस प्रकार से हमको ब्रह्मा भोजन लेना, वहाँ पर भी एकाग्रता जरूरी है.
So even we observe when the bhog is being fed to Baba, like Baba is so detached and so in his stage that we can also learn from that how our every action, like even eating our meals, should be like.
तो मुझे जिस प्रकार से करीब मधुबन में 92 में आए, उसके पहले ये शरीर की बीमारी हुई तो टाइफाइड हुआ था और 6 मंथ आई वाज ऑन द बेड. और बाबा ने फिर किस प्रकार से हमारे लौकिक फादर को साक्षात्कार कराया. नींद स्वप्न में एक वैद्य को देखा और फिर वो पूछने के लिए सिटी में गए तो वहाँ पर वैसा व्यक्ति मिल गया और उसने फिर ट्रीटमेंट किया आयुर्वेद के वैद्य ने.
So I was in bed suffering from typhoid for 6 months, and then Baba touched brother's Lokik dad's intellect, gave him vision of a Ved, which is like an Ayurvedic doctor. And then father went looking for this Ayurvedic doctor in the town that he was in, and he actually found that doctor who gave the right medicine which cured him.
तो हमारी बुद्धि की लाइन अगर बाबा से जुड़ी हुई है, बीमारी में भी हम वो चीज़ पकड़े हुए हैं बाबा को, तो बाबा किसी न किसी रूप में मदद करता है.
So when my line of intellect is clear, then even if I'm physically ill, then Baba is able to send help in one form or another.
फिर यहाँ पर भी एक बार, अभी करीब 8 साल पहले की बात है, तो 6 मंथ के लिए फिर एक पेपर आया 20 साल के बाद में. तो बीमारी का पेपर होता है तो ज़रूर वहाँ पर कुछ बातें दूसरी चलती है, जैसे पास्ट की बात बताई ना, तो बीमारी के टाइम में एक पेपर हो जाता है कि अंदर की स्थिति क्या है.
So even 8 years ago, I also had another paper of physical illness, and when physical illness comes, it can really occupy your mind, and many things come in your mind.
तो फिर मेरे को यहाँ से बॉम्बे लेकर के गए और वहाँ स्पाइन का ऑपरेशन किया था. तब मैं 6 महीना बेड पे था. और बाबा की बहुत मदद के अनुभव किए. रोज़ मुरली पढ़ता था बैठ करके, और प्यार के आंसू भी आते थे, और बाबा को लिख करके देता था कि बाबा मुझे ले चलो, मेरा पार्ट पूरा हो गया.
So I was taken to Mumbai, and I had to get a spinal operation, and I was in bed again for 6 months, and I used to still read Murli, and while reading Murli, I'll have tears of love for Baba, and I'll say to Baba, please now, my part is finishing, take me home.
But now I'm here. बाबा अभी भी सेवा दिया है और ले रहा है. दादी जानकी को हमने दादी जी से मिले तो दादी को बोला, तो दादी ने कहा कुछ नहीं होगा, तेरे पास सेवा की दुआएं हैं तो सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
So like you can see now that I'm here, and Baba is still taking service from this body. And when I met Dadi said, you've got the blessings of all the service you've done, so nothing will happen to you.
तो बाबा इस प्रकार से चला रहा है जैसे लगता है बाबा की छत्र छाया में हम हैं.
So that's how Baba is moving me along. It's like as if I'm under Baba's canopy.
तो छोटी मोटी चीज़ें आती है तो वो फिर जल्दी में साइड हो जाती है.
So even when little things come, they quickly go on the side as well. Victorious jewel of Baba.
ऐसा.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the experience of how it is like when your chit is clear, and all the benefits we can experience. So, Brother Geoff, what about you? What's been your experience, of letting go? What feelings it generates, and
letting go for this past life or this life, or letting go things that happen to us. For both things, I mean, there's different techniques. I mean, like I said before, things happen to us and we have waste thoughts, but clearing a chit from the past, I mean, we've all done things before Gyan, which obviously we were done in body consciousness, and through the vices. So, of course, when you come to Baba, you start clearing that out, and you get sanskaras that come up, which sometimes are not very easy to dismiss or not very easy to burn away. But what I have found is occasionally, I mean, I enjoy yoga a lot. I enjoy remembrance a lot, and sometimes exploring yoga, because very early on, in the late 80s, and one of the first Avyakt Murlis I heard, and I remember, is Baba said to always experiment in yoga, which is why I've always gone to the 3 worlds and experiment in yoga in that way. And but what I found is that you've heard Baba talk about, I don't know if in the old Merlis, a seed stage, you know, and some of the senior brothers also talk about seed stage. So we can just practice that now. Cleaning out sanskaras from the past. I mean, there's a few different ways to change sanskaras. Obviously, you can recognize them as they come up. The vices, of course, anger and things like that usually come up in connection with others and situations. Something's not going the way I want it to, or, you know, people are treating me in one way, or there's a bit of clash or something like that. You can recognize that you're being affected by that, and so that has to change, you know, because Baba's, of course, you know, the detached observer Baba's always talked about is to not be affected by anything external, no matter even what someone says or the situations we sort of go in or come to us. And so for me, I mean, the practice of yoga, but the practice of the point-like state was, for me, very early on, a really, really good practice of burning away some really deep things that were a little bit stubborn to move. And I find that also with that, I mean, you have to have patience with yourself, because it takes a while to burn things off. I mean, been doing sort of like wrong actions for 63 births, so we have a lot of karmic accounts sort of inside of us, and a lot of old sanskaras, and some of them not from this life, you know. I don't know if everyone's had sort of like, you know, you're going along and this thought or this sanskara comes up, and it's certainly not anything to do with what I've experienced in this life. So, I mean, all of that, but the power of yoga for me has always been there to quell this, you know, because, and of course not putting them into practice, because then they just lose power, you know, if you don't put them into practice, and you can burn them away through yoga. And so for me, it does take time. Baba said it before, it all takes time, you know, but you've got to have patience with yourself and regular yoga and regular knowledge. I mean, you know, those two things for me have always been to clear any sort of like nasty stuff that's still lurking in the sanskaras.
And how do you know it's worked?
Again, a situation comes up and you are not either affected by it, or your reaction is completely different to what normally would come up. I mean, sometimes, you know, I mean, say in the past, like 20 years ago, if someone said something like I'd be at work or something like that, you know, you wouldn't, not that you wouldn't get along with, you try and get along with everyone, but somehow because of our lifestyle or the way you are, people target you, you know, so it's happened to me. So, I mean, the reaction to that back in those days was different to 20 years later, you know. Now I just couldn't care less, you know. I mean, anyone can say anything to me, so what? I mean, because the soul, I mean, once you have the yoga power and the understanding, I mean, like Baba says, I mean, he said in the Murli the other day, that, you know, everyone is impure, so you have to have mercy on them. And I've found that that actually helps a lot, that if you have mercy, like those good feelings and good wishes, if you make an effort to actually understand and have those for others, it really overrides any karmic account that might be there, you know, because you're actually using maybe someone's negative energy and giving back positive energy, and that wipes out the Chit, you know, any karmic account you have with them. And I found that especially in the last 10 years, that regular practice, I mean, many things got settled very, very quickly, you know.
That's a nice technique.
Yeah, having that mercy and giving blessings, like giving good wishes, you'd be surprised at how amazing that is for settling karma. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing another nice little jewel to take with us and practice. We've got a few minutes left, so before I continue on, I want to ask all of you, do any of you have a question for the brothers here? No? Yeah? Okay. 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 Thank you. Before we answer that question, I want to also ask you, you raised your hand.
During the journey into the In'tl life, has there ever been any doubt where you wanted to withdraw? Was there any one of those test papers you have to face?
Okay. Two very different questions. So thank you. Any other questions before we continue? Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. So maybe if we combine the Amrit Vela experience and the point form as one question, so maybe if we can get you to answer that, Geoff, and then I'll ask Satyanarayan Bhai about, the doubts in the Brahman life.
For the point form, I mean, that practice came very early on because in my first 2 years in Gyan at the Bondi Centre in Sydney, Baba gave a lot of visions. I had quite a few different visions, and one of them, a couple of them actually, were of the Golden Age, and one specifically was, I was standing in. I'll just describe it because it was a lesson. It was actually like a lesson that I learned, was that I was standing in the palace just admiring the columns and the arches, very decorative, and this sister was putting a tray of flowers on a table, and so this is in the palace, and so then she looked at me, she turned around and looked at me, but I could see the soul. I could literally see the soul. I mean, it's like the matter is there, but the matter is also, I mean, we know that matter is not translucent, but it's like the matter is superimposed over the soul, but you could still see the soul. I could see the point, and as soon as I saw the point, I recognized the sister from the confluence age. Actually, that soul, and it was quite. And the first thing I said is, "Oh, I know you," But that was a lesson that the practice of soul consciousness that Baba says, you actually do practice it. Practice it, See the soul in others, I mean, so I used to. After that, I used to walk down the street. And it's really good because I had this in Shantivan just last year as well. In Baba's meetings, of course, there's a lot of people. You walk through Shantivan, and of course there's oceans of people, But if you go into that soul conscious state and you start to practice to see everyone as the soul, like riding in their vehicle, sort of thing, just to put it like that, you get these amazing experiences, and that practice becomes, of course, more permanent. Like anything, the more we do something, the more permanent it becomes.
Is there a chance then we will be less bothered by the crowd?
Yeah. I mean, like I walked down, I was in Manmahini and the street was absolutely full. So I just went into that practice, that like the yoga, and then went into the soul consciousness. And it was like I was transported to the Golden Age. I could see everyone almost like I was in a street in the Golden Age with everyone's soul,
So
like
we can try this out 31st of December.
Because, I mean, Baba's waiting to give us experiences, but we need to practice it in order. We need to actually make the effort. Like Baba says, you take one step forward, he'll take a couple of steps towards us. But we have to make the effort to practice it. And if you practice it regularly, you'd be surprised at some of the experiences Baba will give you,
Any experience of the third eye?
The third eye, well, the third eye is obviously the soul.
The knowledge of,
They call it the third eye. I mean, I went into a little bit. I became just to help explanation of the soul to Lokics. I started going into people who had near-death experiences. This near-death experience, people who had actually left the body. So the soul literally separates from the body, but they can still see the physical world outside of the body. So to me, that's actually like a third eye, which is the spiritual eye, that even though the soul is not in a body, it can actually still see the physical world, So it is like its own eye, if you know what I mean. Even though haven't got ears to hear, but you can actually hear thoughts. And this is what a lot of people experience when they leave the body. You know, they can still see the doctors operating them, they can still see the nurses, but they can also hear thoughts, you know. But of course, the first thing they say is when they leave the body, how peaceful it is outside of the body. You know, everyone says it's very peaceful outside of the body. So all of our peacelessness has to do with the physical world and our body and our relationships in it, you know. So this is why Baba emphasizes be bodiless, you know.
Thank you. I hadn't thought of that before, so yeah, makes a lot more sense why that experience. Thank you. So Satyanarayan Bhai, anything else you would like to add to this about your experience of the third eye or the point form?
कई बार योग में सवेरे बैठते हैं तो बहुत अच्छे अनुभव होते हैं, जैसे कि कोई थॉट नहीं होता है और कोई स्वमान का स्वरूप बन जाते हैं.
So I have many times powerful experiences at Amrit Vela where there is no other thoughts and then I become the form of one of the self-respect titles.
तो वो कई देर तक बहुत टाइम तक काम करता है जब एकाग्रता बढ़ जाती है और शरीर की ऐसी कंडीशन होती है कई बार कि बिल्कुल लाइट मैं इसमें हूँ या नहीं, या काफ़ी देर तक और भी बैठा रहूँ, ऐसा इंटरेस्ट पैदा होता है.
So then it's such a concentrated, the experiences such that then I, don't even feel like I'm in a body. You feel that powerful form of light, and then you want to, continue to remain in that stage for a longer time.
तो बाबा जो कहते हैं ना अशरीरी बनो या बॉडीलेस स्टेज, तो इस प्रकार का बहुत बारी
So how Baba says, experience bodiless stage, from the awareness of the body, and then they've had many experiences of it.
और फिर हम जैसे कि मैं फिर देखता हूँ कि ग्लोब को सामने रख करके और सारे विश्व को, जब लाइट है बिल्कुल तो एकदम निराकारी स्टेज है और फिर आप सारे ग्लोब को साइलेंस की.
And then I visualize the globe in front of me, and then when I am feeling light, then I send out light, rays of light to the globe.
तो इस प्रकार का मेरा एक्सपीरियंस.
So that is how my experience is. So another question Satyanarayan Bhai, the sister, had asked is, have you ever had doubt as you have, continued on this journey, and how you overcame, or how you overcome those doubts?
Doubt? किस प्रकार का?
No doubts. So how Baba says,
बाबा गॉड स्वयं भगवान हमको पढ़ा रहे हैं, और इतना हमारा तो भक्ति मार्ग में संकुचित दिमाग था, हमको मांगना भी नहीं आता था. भगवान से क्या मांगते थे? अच्छा वर दे दो, अच्छा थोड़ा धंधा अच्छा दे दो, इस प्रकार की छोटी छोटी चीज़ें मांगते थे. अभी भगवान हमको क्या बना रहा है?
So, now we have, Baba with us, God with us, and, and look what He's making us in the path of devotion. Our minds were so small that we used to ask for little things, give me a good husband, give me a good son, and those little things. But now let's, see how unlimited Baba's making us.
भिखारी थे एक प्रकार से कि
So we were like
मांगना तक
beggars.
हमको आता नहीं था, लेकिन अब बाबा ने क्या क्या सिखाया है, किस प्रकार का टाइटल से हमको सजाता है सवेरे सवेरे.
So, we were like beggars, but now see how Baba decorates us with such great titles every morning.
तो डाउट की तो किसी प्रकार की बात ही नहीं है.
So then there is no thing about doubt.
बाबा का नॉलेज अति उत्तम, इससे सर्वश्रेष्ठ कोई और कोई हो भी नहीं सकता
So
है.
Baba's knowledge is so great there can be no other knowledge that
कोई
this,
इंसान इसको कॉपी कर नहीं सकता है,
and no other human being can copy this.
क्योंकि सुप्रीम स्वयं दे रहा है,
So
तो
the Supreme is giving directly.
कोई तुलना की बात नहीं, नो डाउट.
So no comparison, no doubt. Thank you so much, dear brothers.
क्योंकि मेरा थोड़ा इंग्लिश का प्रैक्टिस कम है, यहाँ रहते हैं तो 6 महीना हिंदी का सीजन
So
चलता
my
है, विदेशी आते हैं तो थोड़ा वापस इमर्ज करना पड़ता है इंग्लिश, नहीं तो इंग्लिश का काम ही नहीं है.
So he's saying, my practice of English is not very good because 6
इसलिए
months here I don't have to speak English. So
इसलिए
when you
पहले
also,
तो मैंने सिस्टर को मना किया, मैंने कहा कि ये मैं
But he speaks
इतना
so
नहीं
well.
कर पाऊँ. फिर बोला हम मदद करेंगे, हेल्प करेंगे, तो हिंदी आपको थोड़ा वो करेंगे. मैंने कहा कंसेशन दिया, तो फिर मैंने वो
So he was a bit reluctant to come and speak with us, and then I said I can translate. So then he said, no, then I feel comfortable, I'll come.
क्योंकि हिंदी में तो और भी अनेक प्रकार की चीज़ें शेयर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन फिर इंग्लिश में बना करके थोड़ा.
So in English, I struggle a bit.
हाँ.
Okay, how are we going with time? Are we okay?
On doubt,
Okay.
just 2 minutes?
5
Or
minutes, all
5
right.
minutes. Look, my whole Brahman life, I mean, I never had doubt who's teaching. I mean, Shiv Baba was teaching. I mean, I'd have doubts in myself and my ability to actually complete Baba's course, so to speak. I mean, doubt would come whether to achieve something, especially if you make a mistake. You say something wrong, of course, that you regret later, or, something that happens. But I mean, it's always no doubt that, who Baba is and who's teaching. But the doubt has also always been with myself and my own ability, basically, and whether I can actually achieve something that is achievable. That came to me sort of like very early on in Gyan, like, because Baba says, the fortune is same for everyone. So I thought, okay, what do you want to achieve, I mean, if you had to plan a career in the golden age, sort of, but anyway, I mean, it was basically about becoming completely 100% pure, and that's just impurity working, because the path of bhakti, of course, we had very little self-respect because we were bowing down all the time, to sort of not only other people but deities. I mean, everyone we saw, like Baba says in the Murli, like especially towards the end of the cycle, the awareness that we were obviously not sort of like the deities anymore. But of course, it was only self-doubt, But that passes, you read them early again, or, you have yoga and the intoxication comes back, But you take steps to guard yourself against that, because you're just causing yourself sorrow, basically. I mean, through self-doubt. I mean, but never doubt yourself, because Baba hasn't doubted us at all, and Baba never will, I mean, of course, Baba knows the drama better than anyone, but for our own sanskaras and our own self-worth sort of a thing, never doubt your own self-worth, because you're here studying with Baba. And like Baba says, I remember, I love this point in the Murli, even the last soul of the golden age is higher than everyone else in the world, because they've gone to the golden age. Doesn't matter who they are in the golden age, they've gone there, whereas everyone else is just sitting back in soul world. So
I love the line that, Baba has no doubts in us, so why we doubt ourselves?
yeah. Baba has no doubt.
Thank you very much. I don't know what you all felt like, but listening to the brothers, I felt, the answers are right in front of us and so accessible to us, and may sound like it was so obvious, the daily routine, Amrit Vela, the Murali, the resources that is so readily available to us.
सिस्टर ने क्या बोला, इंग्लिश का डाउट के बारे में बात किया कुछ लैंग्वेज. अच्छा ठीक है, तो मतलब इंग्लिश भाषा, इंग्लिश इज़ वेरी गुड, आई लव, बट डाउट है तो वो ठीक है. मुझे थोड़ा संकोच है बोलने में, ये मेरे पुरुषार्थ की बात है, बाकी भाषा में कोई वो नहीं है.
उनका कहने का भाव था कि आपका डाउट आपके इंग्लिश के ऊपर है, लेकिन आपका इंग्लिश बहुत अच्छा है. ओके, सो थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
So I'm sure the brothers will welcome. If you've got any more questions, you can approach them. You know where to find Satyanarayan Bhai. And Geoff's also around in Gyan Sarovar, so...
Art department.
Art department.